never bring electric currents. You know that? Do you normally make noise at home when power goes? Those are questions that you ask yourself. We want parents in this neighborhood whose children did not come to this meeting to become envious that their children should have come. No parent will want his children to be a part of a team of howlers. You are not. And if that is what you do in your school, go back to your school and sit with your friends and tell them, we will not be doing this. I'll give you an example. I went to Narok Boys High School in 2012 to do a program, academic coaching program. And in Narok Boys High School, those boys could not allow a speaker to talk to them for more than 30 minutes. They would just walk out on him. So when they introduced me that I was going to talk to them the whole day, they were like, ah. But after 15 minutes, you know that those people refused to go for the 11 o'clock tea. They refused to go for lunch. I had to chase them from the hall to go and have lunch at 3. Because they say they were getting the substance they have never had. Then I organized that that was 2011. 2012, I brought a conference, Pda Conference, in this school called Chavakali Boys High School. And those students came. And when they came to, they realized that Chavakali Boys High School had lights in the dormitory, had lights on the pathway, walkways. It had lights everywhere. But in Narok Boys, if any principal made a mistake of putting a bulb in a dormitory, he will go. And that is why, in fact, I don't know whether you know, in 2012, in second term alone, the school had 3 principals. So when those boys came to this meeting and they learned, they went back to their school as a prefects. They sat down and they said, this is the culture we should never allow in our school. Moi girls come sing. Used to be the girls who are just like zealous. Those years in 2000. I went there and we had a meeting with them for culture transformation of the school. And the noise disappeared. That was the first time for many years, I think since 844, that Moi Girls Camp Singer scored an A. 2012 in Narok Boys, when this culture of noise, culture of fight, of being indisciplined was broken. Since 844 system, they recorded their first A's. Come over here. This young man is a graduate. He was a student of a school called Friends. That time it was mixed. But these days it's what? Girls. And he was not the top student. He was just among the average. In fact, I think I will give you some time to give a testimony to Form 4s and Form 3s tomorrow. By the way, just to give you a heads up, tomorrow we are going to have workshops. We will have the Form 1s and Form 2s in your own workshop, Form 3s and Form 4s in your own workshop. And then we are going to have those of you who are in college, who have finished Form 4, those who are in college, who have finished college, you are going to have your own workshop. And I will want to go with him to talk to high school students, because this young man, if I did not go to Naitiri Girls that day, to Naitiri Friends Secondary School to speak, do you think you would have passed exam? No. This was a total failure. He was living a very riotous life, and he will testify to you. His father was a teacher in that school. And he was like a thorn in the flesh of his father. You remember that day when you stood after teaching, and this young man stood, he starts crying, asking for forgiveness because of what, after my teachings. And then his father also starts crying. And the principal was scared that his father might go and kill him, because he said things that he was involved in that shocked his father. And guess what? Today, if you go to Naitiri Friends Secondary School, which is now Naitiri Girls Friends Secondary School, which year was that? 2015. On the board of honor, we have Abud Bogongo. He scored the best in his school. And he was number one. He has finished university. Which university? Masai Mara University. He graduated with a bachelor's in what? Information science. If they continued with the behavior they were in, these guys were total failures. And there was a young man who was better academically than this, but because he chose funny things, and it was a straight A ball, he failed. This meeting is not just about preaching, it's about mentorship. So you can't do that nonsense in this area. At Stephen Kienda, we have. And this is the high one. This is the Toby. This is what? And we are leaders. So when you make noise, how are you going to get directive from the team? So I'm going to have a session with Tracy. Okay, let me just say all the high schoolers, I'll have a session with you tomorrow. I want to see, now high schoolers means anyone who started KCB this year, and those who are already in high school, you qualify to be in that session. So those who did class 8, and those who are going to Form 3, raise up your hands. Class 8 up to, from 1 up to Form 4, raise your hands. Okay. Tomorrow, I'll be having a session. Those who finish Form 4, raise up your hand. Form 4, brothers. That's wonderful. Oh, you are such a huge team. Thank you. I'll have a session with you also. I'll be talking to you on what to do before you join college, and how do you behave in college, because many people get ruined when they join college. And those of us who are in college or have finished college, that's university, middle level colleges, or have finished, raise up your hands. Thank you so very much. I appreciate your coming. You are wonderful people. We will have a session with you on how to position yourself for the job market. And number 2, on issues of relationship and marriage. It's a very, very important subject. I must teach you. Like for you guys who are in college and who have finished college, one of the things about college, about job market, is how do you carry yourself during your first interview. It's very important. Form 4s who have graduated, Form 4s, your results are going to come out. And I just want you to know that you should not over-celebrate. You should not condemn yourself if you do not get the results you wanted. have a chance to succeed in life. Don't you ever look at the great you got and think you look like that great. You can live an A life, yet you scored an E. I'm telling you. I'm not in any way saying that we lazy ourselves around and score what? E's. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are people whose ability, the best they can ever score is a D or a D plus. And in our church we have a young man like that, Philip. Philip scored a D minus, but the only thing that he did that was very good is that he had a D plus in English and a D plus in mathematics. And you know that year, just as, those of you who know Malim, just as Kevin scored B's with the A minuses, we did not celebrate Kevin and Justus and other people. Whom did we celebrate? Philip. Because Philip had never scored a D, always an E. And I sat with him, I remember I sat with him, I said, I just want you to make every effort and give me at least D plus in English and D plus in what? Maths. That's what he got. So after the Form 4 results came, he got a job as a casual at Toyota Kenya. After a short period of time, he joined some cleaning company in Nairobi, and he was assigned the NAT headquarters. That's Mfangano Street, right? NAT headquarters. Then after that, when Kibaki formed the government, and we had this lady called Beatrice Kitui, she was permanent secretary for labor. This young man was sent into that office, and he was a cleaner. His was to clean. But the office clerk who was supposed to serve this lady, when she gives assignment, he doesn't carry out the assignment. But when she assigns the cleaner does what? Does the job. So finally, she's the CEO. If you are a permanent secretary, you are the employer. You are the chief executive officer. So you are the accounting officer. So she called. This young man said, what are your qualifications? His qualifications don't actually give him anything. But she said, I'm employing you. So the boy became employed in the Ministry of Labor. So he was employed in the Ministry of Labor as just someone working there as a clerk. I called him, told him, Philip, go to college. So he went for a very junior certificate in human resource management. No, not human, but supply chain management. Then he went for certificate, and then he went for diploma. Today, as we speak, Philip Wamalwa is an expatriate. You understand when I say an expatriate? Someone working in a foreign country as an expat. So he moved from the Ministry of Labor in Kenya, and because on that building we had the offices of International Labor Organization. So Philip was poached by International Labor Organization and employed by him. His basic salary is better than that of a principal of a high school, because his basic salary is 172,000 Kenya shillings. And Philip loved the Lord. That young man loves Jesus, let me tell you. He loves Jesus from the depths of his heart. So, you can go and sit. And I will be calling some of you that I know, that we have raised. And I just want to say something about you. So what by the way, the way of Jesus was, sometimes people make mistakes, and he uses it as an opportunity to train them. So wangwana si tumekubaliana hakutakuwa na hiyo tabia tena. Yeah. Wakati stima imeenda ama for one reason mitambo ikatike, you should, that's a time when we need silence for the next command. Because if you make noise like that, na kumbe kulikuwa na jambasi amekujia njia hii na bunduki. Na mimi nimemuona na ningesema bado sema kwamba jana torokea mlango hiyo. Na yeye kama uko karibu na jirani mwambie ndugu, siku za upumbavu zimeisha. Mwambie So, Carol, I wonder very about three powerful praises, one worship, and we bring in our final speaker.